Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our job search webinar this afternoon, brought to you by the Georgia State University Alumni Association and University Career Services here at Georgia State. I'm Dave Cohen, coming to you from the Alumni Center in Atlanta, and our guest speaker this afternoon is Shannon Shelton, Senior Career Counselor in University Career Services here at Georgia State University in Atlanta. Shannon has been a guest on our webinar series in the past. Our topic today, as we head into the holiday season, is concrete strategies for navigating the job search. Again, I want to welcome everyone joining us, those viewing on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and via the StreamYard platform. It's great to have you with us this afternoon for what I know will be an informative webinar. We will have a question and answer segment following Shannon's presentation. You can submit your questions now on Facebook as well as the StreamYard site, and we will get to those again following her presentation. But right now, I would like to bring in Shannon Shelton, again, Senior Career Counselor here at Georgia State University in University Career Services. Shannon, thanks for being our guest speaker today.
Yes, thank you for having me. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. As Dave said, I'm Shannon Shelton, Senior Career Counselor with University Career Services. I'm also a proud alum of GSU. Go Panthers. Thanks again for logging in and whatever platform you're on to be with us today. I'm going to be discussing some strategies for job search, particularly in the climate that we're in now, this COVID era. In uncertain times, there are some specific strategies and tips that are helpful. And the good news is that many of our tried and true job search techniques are still very relevant now and often lead to successfully securing a job. As Dave said, we'll do a question and answer period at the end of the presentations. So please hold your questions until the end. All right, let's get started. Here's an overview of what I'll go over during our time today. We'll talk about, in terms of the job search, the importance of a resume, job search strategies in difficult times, considering other options, and support and assistance. Since this is an intimidating time to be job hunting with economic uncertainty and social distancing measures still in place, I'd like to give you guys some strategies and some ideas for rethinking your career and how to move forward in your job search in new ways. All right, so let's get started. Any job search that you undertake is going to require that you have a solid resume. I want to spend a moment discussing the components of the resume because it is that important. The purpose of your resume, I mean, for the most part, the resume is a marketing document for you. This is where you summarize your work and your educational history and experience. You will utilize your resume whenever you're applying for a job or if you're asking someone to provide a reference for you. It's also important when you're networking, when making an introduction of yourself for an informational interview. You will want to have a solid resume to attach to emails and other correspondence when you're reaching out to people in your job search process. Also, most graduate school applications now require a resume, so it's really good to just keep an updated, solid resume in mind. We're just going to go through kind of quickly a few slides on the resume format. I want to just lay out a very simple and effective format for you. Name and contact info need to be clearly visible at the top of your resume. You want your name to be the largest component on your resume, usually in a large font, 14 to 20 point. You want to have your most current contact information. For instance, a professional email address. You want to consider an email. I'm sure most of you don't still have your GSU email. So if you graduated recently and you've still been using your GSU email account, you will eventually lose that school account. So you want to make sure you have an email address that is professional and appropriate And that is some version of your first and last name at gmail.com, or whatever provider you're using. And most importantly, when it comes to an email and the email that you list on your resume, make sure you're checking this email account on a daily basis while you're in the job search. The header for your resume can also include your LinkedIn profile address or any other online professional site that you have, in case you have a website that has some portfolio information for you. The resume is also a great place to put that information. The first header on your resume, as you see here, is education. And you see on this resume that the headers organize your information. You want to make sure the headers stand out. So here we're going to talk about the first header, which is education and honors in this case. Here, this person has a Bachelor of Arts in Marketing. So you want to spell out that degree. You just don't want to put BA in marketing. If you haven't graduated yet, again, I know you guys are alums, but you would put an expected graduation date there in case some of you are in graduate programs. Also under education, you can put awards and honors. The next section, which I would say on a resume can often be the most important section, and that header is the work experience. You want to list your work experience in reverse chronological order, and you always want to include employer, location, role, and dates. Many people often leave out the role. You want to make sure you let your reader know exactly what role, what title you had in your job or internship. Use bullet points for your work tasks, and begin your bullet points with action verbs that describe initiative and movement on your part. So you want to use verbs such as conducted, coordinated, managed, planned, supervised, trained, etc. Also, you want to quantify any information whenever possible to show goals and achievements that you've met while on the job. You could also include a section on leadership experience if you want to highlight leadership experience that you had during college, or a leadership experience that you may have in professional organizations that you're in right now. Make sure, if you do have a leadership in an organization that you're in, you can list bullet points and put the roles and duties in there as well. You want to make sure that you list dates and descriptions and competencies included under leadership experience. Also, you'll see here at the bottom of this resume, there is a header called volunteer experience. If you are an active volunteer, or if your volunteer experience is related to the type of job that you would like to have, you can mention that in this last section. While we're not going to go into any detail today about it, I can't discuss the resume without noting that a cover letter is also important when you're applying for a job. It should accompany every resume that you send out. The cover letter is so important because it allows you to give a personal touch to your resume. You can prove your knowledge of the industry or of the company that you're applying to in a cover letter. It allows you to give room to explain your interests, qualifications, and skills, and you can draw attention to those positions that you want the employer to look at on your resume. And remember that most people don't send a cover letter. So if you are sending out a really powerful cover letter, then you're going to be ahead of the game. Now I want to shift our focus to some job search strategies that can be useful. Some of these particularly useful during the pandemic time that we're living in right now, because it's bringing about constant shifts in the economy and the job market. We've all heard the reports of industries that are struggling, and there are many industries that are soaring right now. So you want to target your job search toward industries that are thriving during this particular pandemic. There are some industries that are dormant that you might want to avoid during this time. But you guys, if you're keeping up with the news, then you know that healthcare is thriving, transportation is thriving. IT and streaming services are thriving. Industries that are struggling or thriving can change almost week to week, but you definitely want to keep up with how industries are changing with each fiscal quarter. So it's important to keep current on changes in the economy by staying up to date through your preferred news outlet. Now you want to also create a target list. Once you know which industries you want to target, identify employers who have what you're looking for. Even though times can be kind of tough right now, you still want to maybe think about that dream company that you've always wanted to work for, especially if they're one of the companies and industries that are thriving right now. Create a target list of those companies that you admire. Include their competitors as well. You can use sites like Indeed, Handshake, Glassdoor to search job openings. And consider your contacts, because networking is key when it comes to a job search. You've heard the old adage, it's not always what you know, but who you know. And when it comes to a job search, that is absolutely true. Transferable skills are also really important to consider during a job search, especially if you're unemployed and you've had some trouble already, getting contacts or getting companies to contact you back when you've put out applications or resumes. Consider transferability of skills. Transferable skills are any skills that you possess that are useful to employers across various jobs and industries. These can include organizational skills, teamwork, leadership skills, written and verbal communication skills. But you can also expand transferable skills to the hard skills like bookkeeping, presentation development, database planning, and organization. Consider all the skills you have and think about how these skills might be used in different settings. For instance, if you have a degree in business and you focused on applying your skills in the hospitality industry, consider how your skills might well be used elsewhere, maybe in a healthcare or an IT company. Also, consider a different role. If you have a degree in communications and thought you would work in the film industry, and that's not working out, consider using your skills in a company that supports maybe streaming services. Those are certainly booming right now during this pandemic. Perhaps you thought your role might be producing cinematic movie previews, but consider a role promoting podcasts or cable programming. Just be flexible. If you can consider how your skills might be transferred to other roles and industries, this creative thinking will widen the scope of your search. And just a note, however, using transferable skills does require a tailored resume. So you'll need to make sure that each resume you send out is written specifically for the role and the industry and the company that you're targeting. As I mentioned before, another very important strategy is networking, right? Most things have gone virtual at this point. So learn how to network from home. Reach out and connect with people who are working in positions that are similar to the ones that you want to obtain. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there and engage in communications and conversations online. And you can do this in a number of ways. LinkedIn. It is the easiest and most concise platform for career networking. But you must make sure, your profile is professional and includes a professional profile picture and it's up to date. This will be your professional online presence. So don't be afraid to shine in your LinkedIn profile. Make sure you shine. Also, strategically request informational interviews. Put yourself out there. Reach out by email or through LinkedIn to your connections. You don't have to ask for a job in these types of communications, and there may not be a job out there with this particular person that you're reaching out to, but instead you want to say, I want to learn more about your company, or I want to learn more about what you do. So that reaching out and networking becomes a learning experience for you, and it gives you a connection if that company later has a position available. As you're reaching out, make sure you keep a list of who you've contacted and who you've reached out to, and check in with them periodically. You want to make sure you know who you've contacted and when, so that you're not reaching out to someone as if it's for the first time when you've already reached out to them maybe earlier that month. And lastly, if you don't hear back from people that you reach out to, don't take it personally. It's so hard not to, but some people are more open to networking and mentoring than others are. Also, companies and employees are dealing with shifts and changes brought about by COVID. So don't let their non-response get you down. Just keep moving forward. One other thing you need to have polished when you're beginning your job search or any networking for jobs is your elevator pitch. The elevator pitch is what we call that 30 to 60-second soundbite. It's how you answer that question. So tell me a little bit about yourself. So the elevator pitch is who you are and what you want to do in your career. It's that sales pitch that highlights your accomplishments. It's a great way to quickly share your skill set and credentials, and to introduce yourself and discuss what you have to offer. I recommend with the elevator pitch that you write it out and you rehearse it. So if you happen to hop onto an elevator, or if you happen to be in a chat room with someone that you've always wanted to meet, or they're from a company that you'd love to work for, that you know what you want to say, that you're prepared to give your pitch whenever necessary. Also, right now, and I think moving forward in the future, understanding virtual interviewing, because I believe it's here to stay. Whether you're participating in an informational interview or a job interview, you want to make the best impact possible virtually. You want to show that you understand and you have mastered the virtual interview. When it comes to virtual interviewing, you want to make sure you test your internet connection and the quality of your microphone and webcam well in advance of the interview. Make sure you've downloaded the software or application beforehand, just in case it's the first time you're using it. Also, check your lighting and your background to make sure it's appropriate. Eliminate any clutter behind you. And you should consider the interview as a real live interaction. And if it's a job interview, consider it just like you would a live interview. You want to dress and present yourself as if you're sitting directly across from the interviewer. Set up your webcam also so that it's eye level, so that you can make virtual eye contact with your interviewer or your contact across the way. Limit any distractions by removing other people from the room and turning off your phone and audible notifications on your computer. And be prepared. Don't forget to practice. Just a few tips to succeed in your job search. Job searches they take a lot out of you, and they are a little bit disappointing at times. So some of the top tips that I like to give to our clients and students is keep an open mind. And remember that your job search kind of feels like a job, so you kind of have to treat it like a job while you're in it. Keep your digital presence current and up to date and polished. Expand your professional network. Prepare for interviews, especially virtual interviews, and remain patient and resilient. Also, while searching for jobs and utilizing the strategies that we're talking about today, there are also some other options to consider, especially if jobs are not available in your field due to the economy or other fluctuations that are going on right now. Job hunting now requires some flexible thinking and adapting. While you're searching for positions, consider a temporary job or an in-between job to ride out the economic uncertainty. This work can include signing up with a temporary staffing agency, considering an internship level job, or working short term outside of your field. You might want to consider seasonal work, especially if you're unemployed and the tide is not turning in your industry. These are some ways to keep you in the job market. There are so many benefits to being flexible. Temporary work or any kind of part-time work can lead to a permanent position. It provides income for you. You also can learn new skills and you'll be meeting lots of new people. So you also have the opportunity to network. It also fills employment gaps if you're unemployed, and it keeps you active in the workforce. Um, now is one of those times to consider rethinking the short term, especially if you are unemployed, and you might want to consider planning for what's best for you in the next 3 to 6 months, depending upon your situation. Also, something else you can do to stay encouraged while you're job searching or unemployed is professional development. Professional development allows your career to continue to grow. An internet search will yield many opportunities to continue learning new skills or content areas. There are many professional development opportunities that are free or very low cost. Some even yield a formal certificate, such as Google's career certificates with Grow with Google. Also, Harvard universities and edX have tremendous sites with free courses in computer science, business leadership, etc. So do a Google search. You may also want to look at careeronestop.org. Career One Stop has links to local job centers in the area. While some job centers are closed to public traffic, all of them are providing services via online and by phone. So there are so many benefits to focusing on professional development right now. Again, the professional development will also fill in gaps on your resume, and it also helps you keep your LinkedIn profile current. You can always list the professional development work that you're doing. It can also keep morale high to continue to focus on your career development and seek out learning opportunities. Also, if you know that you eventually want to obtain a graduate degree, while you're doing a job search, if you're not having the kind of luck you want, now may be the time to actually take that on. Grad school is a path forward. It can be a means to achieving the purpose and meaning that you want to create for yourself and your future career. You can ride out economic uncertainty in grad school. You obviously are going to be gaining knowledge and skills and competencies, as well as a new academic credential. Grad school also provides a great opportunity to network. You'll be meeting faculty members and other students who are interested in doing the kinds of things that you want to do. So it's a great opportunity to network. So if grad school was always going to be in your future and it sounds like an option for you, I recommend investigating admissions requirements for your programs of interest. Now, like I said, a job search can be tiring and it can be somewhat exhausting. So if you need some support and resources, I would consider joining an online community for resources and support. There are sites like the Muse and Medley and Dice. You can sign up for free career information and access career tools, articles, tips, advice, job postings. Our office, University Career Services, we're here to assist you with a wide range of services. Alumni can gain access to our events and programming free of charge. Here are some of the programming that we have going on, workshops like this one, but we do other workshops throughout the year, career fairs, speakers, networking events. We bring employers to campus and do panel discussions. If you can no longer access Handshake, which is our main platform for all things career services, if you can no longer access Handshake with your GSU account, your student account has expired, you can go to our website, career.gsu.edu, go to our website, there's an alumni tab, and you can request access to Handshake. Handshake, like I said, it's our main platform. You can access it via our website. Oops, let me go back there. You can also download the app. That's where you register for any of our events, any of our fairs, etc. We also have a database of over 10,000 jobs listed in Handshake. Okay, some final thoughts. I know I've been talking a long time, but remember that the resume is still one of the most important components in your job search. So spend some time making it professional so that you can proudly send it out to employers and networking contacts. Remember, during a job search, you want to use all available resources. This is not a time to be shy. This is a time to step up, put yourself out there, and take risks. Also, as I mentioned, consider all options outside of just applying within your field, and reach out for assistance if you need it. I also suggest, if you don't think you need a job until the spring, I would say begin your job search now. It's never too early to begin networking and just doing some research and seeing what's out there. And also, don't give up. Stay positive. It will come to an end and lead to a job. It feels kind of painful to get to that point, but don't give up. Stay positive. All right. Well, thank you for listening to me for the last 30 minutes. That concludes our presentation today. Are there any questions?
Shannon, thank you. A lot of valuable information for those that find themselves in a job search, or for those that are thinking about a job search or a transition within one field to another. So thank you for that.
Sure.
We do have some questions. First one, what's a good way to find out about salary range prior to applying so that it does not come across that is the main thing that you're looking into?
Yes, so it's really good to know what the salary range is in the area that you live in when you are applying for jobs. So there is a resource called onet.org, which is run by the federal government. You can go in there and look up specific positions. Like, for instance, if you're applying for a marketing specialist job, you can look that up, put in your zip code, and it gives you a range of what a salary is for that job. So I recommend Glassdoor is also a good resource. You can go in there and put in job titles and get the salary range for the zip code or city and state that you live in. Yeah.
I think you mentioned something about this during your presentation, but when is it appropriate to follow up after what's a certain amount of time where it's appropriate to follow up following an interview if you have gone a certain amount of time and not heard anything back?
Yes. So the answer to that is two things. If you haven't heard anything, and in the interview, if they didn't tell you when they would be reaching out to you, I would say give it about 10 days. So just, around that 2-week mark, it is completely appropriate to follow up and say, I'm just inquiring about the status of my candidacy. Now, if you've left an interview and the interviewer said we will get in touch with you by Friday, and if you haven't heard by Friday, then it is appropriate to follow up on the next business day on Monday. Yeah.
Okay, I think you mentioned this as well, but another question that came in from one of our viewers today. How do I learn to write and deliver a compelling elevator speech? And we know how important those 30 seconds can be.
Yes, yes. So, I like to break down the elevator speech into three parts. And this kind of, maybe it's oversimplifying, but you only have 30 seconds. And what you want to do is produce a 30 seconds that makes the person want to ask more questions about you. So I would say the first part, have a couple of sentences about yourself and maybe the current position you're in, or if you've just graduated, tell the person that you've graduated from Georgia State with a degree in marketing, in December of 2021. The second piece is you can talk about your experience. So in this instance, you might say, during my time at Georgia State, I was a marketing intern for Turner. And I also worked on campus as a student assistant in the university publications office. And then the third component is to bring it back to the person that you're talking to. Like, say, for instance, maybe that person works at Warner, and just say, I'm so glad that I met you today, or ran into you today, or I'm glad that I had this interview with you today because I've always wanted to work for this company, or I've always been interested in this company. So that third component is just bringing it back to the person that you're talking to and making them kind of a part of the pitch.
Okay, and our final question as we head into the holiday season here in 2021. This concerns job search strategy during the holiday season. Hiring managers, a lot of times at this time of the year, might be focused in other areas, although with so many jobs being open, so many positions being available, does the strategy change at all because we're in the holiday season? And if so, how?
So, yeah, that is a great question. Many people wonder if they should even apply for jobs during the holiday season. They wonder if people are, looking for permanent full-time employees at this time. I would say the answer to that is a couple of things. There is a little less hiring for permanent full-time positions during this time, mostly because hiring managers are gearing down from the calendar year. Many of them are wrapping up their budgets, but so sometimes they're not posting jobs. But there are many companies who don't necessarily run on the yearly calendar, and they're putting jobs out there. So that means if not as many people are looking during this time, then you actually may have a better chance of getting recognized by a potential employer, because they may have fewer applications coming in. Also, because other job seekers are distracted by the holidays, and are just not applying during this time. So I actually think that a great strategy is to really look hard during the holiday season, because most people aren't.
Well, Shannon, that does it for our question and answer session. Again, a lot of great and valuable information today. And as always, we appreciate it and appreciate the partnership with University Career Services here at Georgia State.
Great, great. I'm so glad that everyone came out today. I hope the information was useful.
All right. Well, we want to thank all of our viewers today. If you were joining us via Facebook Live, YouTube Live, or right here on our StreamYard platform, again, please visit the Alumni Association online at pantheralumni.com for more upcoming alumni programs available for the community. So I want to again thank from University Career Services, Senior Career Counselor Shannon Shelton. I'm Dave Cohen. Thanks to everyone for watching, And good night from the Alumni Center at Georgia State in Atlanta.